The F1 race show has finally come to the biggest racing event in the world, the very first race in Las Vegas. Everyone thinks it's going to be a huge party, but there are some problems underneath that might make people worry about whether this race will last for a long time. The drivers aren't very happy that they have to change how they usually race just to make the show look good. Like one driver named Verstappen said, and with the track being so cold it might break a record that's been around for 40 years. We might be looking at a really bad race coming up. The Las Vegas race is going to be one of the most amazing shows in America. People have been getting excited for more than 2 years. Things got crazy when news came out about a hotel room with 3 bedrooms for 6 people that could see the track, and it cost a whopping $1 million for just 3 nights. But once the local workers tore up the whole city and started building the track, it caused a lot of traffic problems. The people who live there got really annoyed with all the mess that this racing circus is going to make every single year. So now people aren't as excited anymore, and the prices for hotel rooms have dropped by a huge 83%. All the fans who booked their rooms when everyone was super excited are now trying to change their bookings, or they're threatening to take the hotels to court if they don't get their money back fairly. But that's just one part of the problem. The other big issue comes from the track itself and what the drivers think about it. The conditions are pretty questionable for racing and for the practice sessions where drivers try to get the fastest time. For example, the practice session will start at midnight. And if you're wondering why the race isn't happening in the afternoon, remember we're talking about Vegas, the city that looks amazing under all the bright lights at night, and the city that's going to make tons and tons of money during the whole racing weekend. Yes, the track being so cold is going to be a huge challenge. The drivers feel like they might need more than 1 lap just to warm up their tires because there's a really long straight part that's 1.9 kilometers long, the second longest after a track in Baku. But it's all part of the show and they're just there to do their job with their cars. The race will start at 10 p.m. when it's dark, and this is when things could get really heated up. The racing weekend will probably have a lot of problems with the front tires locking up, plus a long and painful time trying to get the tires to the right working temperature. We can't forget that while the 1.9 kilometer straight part gives drivers perfect chances to pass other cars, the straight line speed is going to be really hurt by the tire temperatures. Drivers might not even push their cars to go as fast as possible because they won't be able to control the braking at the end of the straight part. This means lower top speeds and more careful driving. To make things even worse, this is a low downforce track and it doesn't have enough turns for drivers to warm up their tires before they even get to the main straight part. And since tires lose the most heat when they're on the main straight and not when turning corners, even the heat that was built up before the long straight will be gone by the time the car is halfway through it. This doesn't mean good news for the drivers, who had a lot to say about why the whole circus is actually here in Vegas. Verstappen was clearly the most annoyed driver of them all. When talking about this topic, the 3-time world champion said, "First of all, I think we're there more for the show than for the racing itself, if you look at how the track is built. But you know, I'm not actually that into it. I'm more like I'll go there and I'll do my thing and be gone again." He was also asked if the Vegas race is anything like the famous track in Monaco. He replied, "Yes, but Monaco is also just history, and the place itself. Everyone wants to have been to Monaco once. You can't really compare it." The Las Vegas race is happening because F1 has become more popular in America. And this is basically the marketing plan that Liberty Media has used for the sport in the past few years. There's no better place to promote this sport than one of the places where people are going to spend tons of money, both on watching the race and gambling in the casinos. Things have gotten so intense that Toto Wolff put a ban on his entire team and won't let them visit any of the gambling places that are everywhere in Vegas, but proving to the world that Las Vegas deserves to stay in F1 for as long as possible is going to be the main job of F1. It seems like the local people's anger has turned really strongly against the whole sport, while trying to be popular and nice to the people who live in Vegas. F1's construction work in messing up the entire city, plus the hotels and casinos trying to make huge amounts of money off the backs of workers, is something that could actually ruin the whole experience of the racing weekend. Lewis Hamilton has talked about this and said that the sport needs to pay way more attention to the people who don't want F1 to be in Las Vegas. He added, "I've heard there's been a lot of complaints about the event being here from the locals. And I think we have to be respectful of the locals. So many people here are working so hard. There's lots of money and wealth in this city and also the places we're going in this industry, so we've got to make sure that people are taken care of. We can't be a circus that shows up that's all glitter and glamour and people are negatively affected by it, in my opinion." But the racing experience itself is something that all of us will be excited to see how it plays out, because of the simple layout of the track. We shouldn't expect any major challenges or difficulties for the drivers to navigate through the circuit if they can warm up their tires properly. Another potentially huge problem that would show up during the practice session is drivers having to drive more than one warm-up lap to put enough heat in their tires. This would create total chaos when it comes to traffic jams and make quite an interesting practice grid. About the race, Alex Albon from Williams feels like his team has stronger chances here because of the top speed of his car and the low downforce needs. He said that passing other cars shouldn't be a problem, even though it's been heavily questioned because of the track temperature and the bumps that are there throughout the long, flat-out blast along the strip. Talking about this topic even more, Albon said, "It's quite a simple circuit in terms of how it's laid out. It's easy to learn. The track is quite interesting. There's quite a few combined corners which are not easy for front locking, which is not great for our car, but that's fine. The one thing which will be interesting is the roughness and the bumps of the track, how well of a job they've done on that. I think in terms of racing, there's going to be lots of overtakes because, at least from what I've driven, there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of places you can overtake. The straights are absolutely massive, especially coming out the last corner, into turn 1. It's a corner that's not that hard to stay close to the car in front, so I think you'll get quite a lot of overtaking." But apart from Albon's positive attitude, there's something that's been quite present in the last couple of weeks, and it hasn't gotten as much attention as it should have: the protests of the local workers. There have been tons of strikes about workers wanting their pay increased because of the extra load of work that's coming their way through the entire weekend. This has been all over the news in America, and rightfully so. Nobody wants to put in extra work to please the crowd that's going to flood Vegas in the following time period, and when everything settles down, they will be paid the same as they would have been on any normal weekend. This is not the right way of treating people. Still, Hamilton feels like the weekend is going to be an experience that we're not going to regret seeing. When talking about this topic further, he said, "It's going to be such a compact sport with so many people. I think it's going to be a wild experience. The best thing is to just go with an open mind, not have any predetermined ideas of what it's going to be like, and just take it all in when you get there. Driving in the night lights is going to feel like I'm in a casino movie. It's pretty cool. People are going to be coming from all over for the Grand Prix. It's great that each city here in America gives a different atmosphere. But the one thing is they've got amazing fans, hardcore sporting fans. Now there's no secret that F1 being in Vegas has a huge money-making value for the sport, with the ever-growing fan base in the sport, plus America knocking on the door and wanting to promote an all-American brand. This has the potential to put the sport in a position it would have only dreamed of a couple of years ago. But if the risk of the driver's safety because of the low temperatures, which strangely was not thought about when the race was planned back in 2021, goes up, then whether this track can last is something that will definitely come up as a question more than once in the following time period. Still, we're going to see a spectacle, whether it will be on the negative or the positive side.